Glenn Colton, and it's very much my pleasure to share some thoughts. I'd like to thank Mrs. Van Duzer for sharing a few open-ended questions for me to answer, and in the sharing, hopefully help you on some level on your life's journey. I did earn a living for many years as a performing artist, performing live, high-energy, educational concerts for large groups of children in elementary schools, and it was a wonderful run. These days I have several part-time endeavors, but there was a time where I was doing up to 300 shows a year, and that's the career piece I'll share with you. A couple of real quick things. Number one, I'm a little bit older than you, so it's quite possible some of the things that I did back in the day might seem antiquated because, quite frankly, the technology just wasn't there. Letters, what a crazy concept. Postage, mailings for marketing, that type of thing, as opposed to email. But conversely, it's quite possible that these opportunities that you have today open doors that were never available to perhaps my generation. Number two, as I speak of my past, it might seem like it was all predetermined and it was no hiccups, but nothing could be further from the truth. It was like all of our lives lived in real time, and we do the best we can in the moment, and a little faith in God absolutely goes a long way, and also having a picture of where you'd like to steer your life absolutely helps you in that journey. And finally, throughout the presentation, I'll be referring to original music that I created, and it's all there on my YouTube channel. So if you do have a curiosity to the type of music I've created over the past several decades, it's all at Glenn Colton, my YouTube channel. Ready to do it? Let's go. It's time. All right, so question number one. Music has always been connected to a positive, joyful memory. You might call music my burning desire, just that one thing that just has always naturally drawn me to it. My dad used to play guitar for me at a very young age, and I would dance. And when I was in elementary school, I was given the opportunity to take private lessons. Then through a series of very fortunate events, in hindsight, you can't make it up. Having left the guitar in middle school for a couple of years, it might have never reignited my spark had I not met a student teacher, Tom Lorenz, in 8th grade, who taught me the other aspect of the instrument, the performing, the connecting with people, the whole aspect of professional approach to the instrument, and potentially making money at it. And that really turned me on because he was doing that. And that was sort of the foundation which led to what was to come. Question number two. One of the things I would love to accomplish in this brief time together is to perhaps save you some time and get right to where you want to go through some mistakes maybe I made and can look back and share with you. Music was always my first career choice, but no one told me at an early age you could do it. It was always implied that a job involved wearing perhaps a suit and tie, or a profession, or even worse, you go to school all these years and no one stopped to say, you know, we're going to take a break from the day-to-day and just look at the big picture here. Where do you see yourself? What do you want to do? No limits. And unfortunately, by not having that conversation, when I entered into college, I saw all these wonderful majors that were artistic and creative, and I said to myself at the time, I remember this, oh, I could never do that. I didn't do that in high school. And the mistake I made, which I hope you don't, is thinking it was, and I can't believe I'm even saying this, it's too late for me. Well, it's not. It's not too late for you. Anything you can picture is yours. I'm 62 years old, and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. So I hope that you listen to that voice inside of you and be smart about it. You don't want to put yourself out on a desert island, but you want to be realistic and look back on a life that's rich and full. And it's combined with a sense of service to others. There's a wonderful saying I've always tried to remember, is that to the degree you might be able to fulfill others' needs, that in turn is the degree your needs will be met in the form of whatever it is you're trying to achieve in this life. So I hope that answer steers you on the right path. Number three, what made you choose this career? Actually, I can trace it back to an evening in 1983. And never underestimate the power of seeing somebody doing something in the here and now, in the flesh, that you think you'd like to do. Because if you see a person actually doing it in your presence, you say, that looks like a good job. And in this case, I had been hired in 1983 to spend 8 weeks in the Catskill region of New York State at a very nice upscale sleepaway camp. Hundreds of kids, just a beautiful experience. And every night they would have a different evening activity, every night of the week. And one night they hired the king of the children's singers of the camp circuit back then. I still remember his name, Jimmy DeGans. And everyone's saying, oh, Glenn, you play guitar? Wait till you see Jimmy DeGans. He just is magic with these kids. I'm like, okay. And sure enough, we all came into the big central gym area, whatever they call the hall. And he set up and he was doing his show for the kids. I'm like, whoa, this guy's singing, but he's not playing for adults in bars. He's being playful and having fun with the kids doing a show. And I remember thinking that night, wow, that looks really cool. And I've always attributed that moment to the seed of pursuing it and then ultimately making it a career with my thumbprint on it. And that's the beauty of this particular art form. You really can make it your own. So let's just move to the next summer, 1984. I'll give you the short story. I went down to live with my grandparents who had a cottage on the tip of the North Fork of eastern Long Island, a town called Greenport, New York. I went down there, knocked on some doors, was able to secure some shows, and before you know it, I was working 7 nights a week. And that experience kept repeating itself till 1992. So at a very young age, 19 years old, I was performing 40 hours a week in restaurants and bars and pubs, honing my skills, not just as a singer-guitarist, but also entertaining and talking and kind of learning the art form of interacting with the audience. And I believe that 84 summer is where I officially will start the clock, because that's when I got a taste for actually earning, at the time, respectable money for doing something I loved, and I was hooked. Question number 5. Okay, so in 1993, I took the leap. I'm gonna make this a full-time push. I'm gonna do shows. I'm gonna make my days available, and I'm gonna make it work. The challenge was that to do that leap, you need enough work to make it worth your while, and also you need to be able to have your days in the future free to accept show dates. So the most challenging part was the leap of faith, that jumping into it, saying I'm going to give it everything I've got, but there's no guarantee, and I have to find a way to stay busy because I don't have enough shows today. But if I do want to make it happen, I need to spend every waking hour working on the show, working on reaching out to schools and making it happen. So the leap of faith was the hardest, challenging part of the job. And then once things clicked in, it was the best decision in the world. Question number 6. Truth be known, I've really taken very little music education classes in college. My career that I enjoyed had more to do with my first degree, which was business, and my second degree, which was elementary education. And I then connected the pieces. So there wasn't really a major or a ad in the paper looking for people to do what I did. It really just became real from an idea. And with that idea, I started steering my life toward that idea. So the college was absolutely important because it gave me a time to grow, to experience what it's like to follow through something and to see it through. And the elementary ed and the business created this wonderful hybrid foundation. What was available to me in terms of technology in the 80s and 90s is very different than what's available to you today in 2025. But I love this story because it's true. So what did I do to get to where I am now? I believe it started with me offering to do a show for free at the elementary school I attended. I had some friends there, so they let me come in, set up my equipment, and I did a kid show, literally first time, no idea what I'm doing, but I tried my best. And all I asked was, not a check, but a letter saying it was good. I took that letter, made copies, sent it to every school I could, and one person responded and hired me to do a show. I did the show, it went okay. I asked him for a letter, and guess what? I had 2 letters now from 2 schools. I took those 2 letters, I kept sending them out, phone calls, mailings, and that initiative is what really got the ball rolling. And last thing on this topic, I also was fortunate to have the ability to buy a computer around 1992, which at the time, to have word processing was cutting edge. And then around 97, I also took another leap of faith to have my first website. To have a website in 97 was kind of cool. I did stay at Buff State. I went to Sweet Home High School, class of 1981, and then I commuted with friends for 4 years and graduated with a degree in business 4 years later. And that was 85. And then through some twists and turns, I went back to school for 3 semesters to get my elementary education degree at Buff State. So I stayed at Buff State the whole time. I pretty much have been able to stay home when I was doing my shows and not have to travel great distances for a couple of reasons. The further I would travel, the more expenses it would cost me, which I would have to pass on to the schools. And there was not and is not an unlimited budget for my type of extra entertainment that schools would pay for. So it kept me local. There would be maybe a few times a month where I'd be overnight down in the southern tier where I could perhaps schedule 2 shows over 2 days and maximize the travel time. But for the most part, I didn't travel beyond Western New York. I was able to find my territory, my niche, and I just kept working it for many, many years. Although one year, I think it was 06, I did get a job in the island of Bermuda, and my wife and I were able to go together, and we milked a 3-day vacation out of a 1-hour show. So that was the one exception, the island of Bermuda. My job, this career, was wonderful, but ultimately it ran its course, meaning I got to a place where I had done it for so many years that it just kind of left me with not much left in the tank. It would be great if I could say everything just fell into place. It was a wonderful journey, as if I meant it to be, but the truth is nothing could be further from the truth. There are all kinds of peaks and valleys and things we don't really have time to get into, but suffice to say, around 2011, I was convinced I had done as much as I could do, and I hung up my guitar and I had to find something else to replace the income. And for 5 years, I sold cars. And around 2019, I just had been away from music enough to want to find a way back. And through just the grace of God, some luck, timing, I was able to work my way back into music. So in 2025, I do the shows part-time. I'm a music director at my church at St. Mary of the Lake in Hamburg, and I have a choir. And I do teach 2 days a week at Immaculate Conception, and I do also have a private student or 2 I teach virtually on the guitar. So the profitable question was, yes, it was profitable until it wasn't. And I would say, on a side note, just because we're talking the word profit and money, it seemed to me that the reason to go into this type of art form made sense if it wasn't solely based on money. My belief was if I did a good job, the money would follow. And it did, until it didn't. So I hope that gives you a realistic picture of the wide-ranging dips and ups and downs of a career path in the performing arts, because it's certainly, it's been a ride. Well, I've enjoyed our time together, and I sincerely hope that something I've shared might in some way, shape, or form help you on your journey, wherever life takes you. And before we say goodbye, I did want to share one thought of a personal nature. It has to do with a prayer I made as a younger man. One time, I was so desiring a career in music. I remember praying to God with all my might, saying that if there was any way it would be your will to grant me a career in the world of music, I'll always know it was a prayer answered. And that's my prayer for you, that you would remember the power of this little faith in your day. It sure has gone a long way for me, and I'm sure it will for you too. And this is a song I'd like to leave you with. I hope you enjoy it. It's called The Dream. Some call me a dreamer. I've had a dream or two, and I have seen my share of dreams coming true. Years ago, I took some paper and a fountain pen. I wrote these words to remind me every now and then. It's the dream that keeps you going, the beauty of not knowing what life has in store for you. Show me a dream you have believed in your whole life